Good evening, everyone, our panelists and also our audience. I am Daryl D'Souza from Earthkeepers Connect in Goa, your host for this evening, which is the second day of the pre-summit webinars leading up to the New Earth Summit in November, India's first integrative summit on solutions for our problems in health, food, farming, and environment. I extend thanks and gratitude from all our Earthkeeper groups in India and overseas. We have about 10 groups, and mainly the group in Goa has, arranged for all of this summit to happen online. And we all thank you for taking out the time to be with us today and sharing your experience and wisdom so all of us and audiences and those people later who will also watch the recording, they can have healthier lives from what has been shared today. So our topic for today is reversing diabetes the right way. Now, many people, even at an individual level, they've got tips and tricks and they try to do a lot of things like, even eating insulin leaf, or we have got a small flower in Goa, which is called periwinkle, and we call it perpet. And they think that's a remedy, but they got to have that, for their whole life. So that's not what we are discussing today. We are not discussing about how to uh, get along with diabetes, but how to reverse diabetes. And our esteemed panelists today here are pioneers and leaders in India on reversing thousands of people with diabetes. So I would like to first introduce you to all our panelists today, starting with Dr. Pramod Tripathi. Dr. Pramod Tripathi is the founder of Freedom from Diabetes. He has taken a keen interest in creating vibrant health for the masses since his early medical career. Dr. Tripathi has singularly focused on creating a diabetes-free society for the last 7 years. After finishing his MBBS from JB Medical College, Pune, Dr. Tripathi obtained a professional diploma in diabetics management from Nanavati Hospital in Mumbai. A firm believer of the holistic approach, the principles of natural cure inspired Dr. Tripathi to complete certified courses in advanced yoga and Ayurveda from Tilak, Maharashtra Vidyapeeth, Pune, and S. Vyasa, Bangalore. His passion to learn more about how health can be improved made him undergo many other courses like the Art of Living, Brahma Vidya, Dream Therapy, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, Past Life Regression, Pranic Healing, Reevaluation Co-Counseling, Reiki, Siddha Samadhi Yoga, and Vipassana Meditation. Now I would like to...
And very important, Dr. Rupa and me are students of Dr. Nandita's doctor's training program. That's been a huge beginning for us. So it's great to share the panel with Rupa, Dr. Rupa and Dr. Nandita.
That's wonderful, Dr. Nandita, pioneer. Dr. Nandita Shah is the founder of Sharan, an organization devoted to disease reversal through food and to building a culture of health in India and the world. Through her work in health and nutrition, she has seen many people make changes that have enabled them to reach their highest potential, not just in their physical health, but in their emotional and spiritual well-being as well. Dr. Nandita Shah received the prestigious Nari Shakti Award 2016 from the President of India in recognition of her work. She is the author of the bestseller Reversing Diabetes in 21 Days. Now I would like to introduce to you our next panelist with a wonderful body of work, Dr. Rupa Shah. She is an allopathic MBBS doctor primarily, but has done intensive research in natural remedies, therapy, and holistic healing. Partnered with her husband, Dr. Atul Shah, they have pioneered Indian flower remedies and co-founded Home and Healing Temple Consultations. I would like to pronounce that again, Aum and Healing Temple Consultations. She turned vegan 12 years ago and experienced a health transformation so deep that she wanted to share her knowledge with all. She has a single-minded vision of a healthy vegan community. So some years ago, Dr. Rupa aimed to bring together thought leaders to spark an internal revolution. And with this dream, she co-founded the Ahimsa Pramod Dharma group. The group organized India's first and largest vegan festival since 2016, the Ahimsa Festival, which I've also been to a couple of times, and wonderful festival. These festivals established a roadmap that triggered an all India movement. And she didn't stop there. She went on to publish a series of books and the recently launched magazine Compassion. Dr. Shah has founded a publishing house, Circular Health, and a Jito Digital Women's Warrior Award winner. Circular Health has published a series of books like Dairy Alternatives, What About My Calcium, and India's first vegan print publication, Compassion India. She has most recently launched a health consultation, Kitchen Doctor. Our next panelist is Dr. Paawan Wadhawan. He's an MBBS, MAMC from New Delhi, an MD in Internal Medicine, SDUMC Kolar, PG Diploma in Clinical and Endocrinology and Diabetes from the Royal College of Physicians, UK. He has a PG Diploma in Clinical Echocardiology, Annamalia University. Dr. Paawan is a diabetologist, non-interventional cardiologist and critical care specialist at Dr. Paawan Center of Diabetics, Wellness and Holistic Medicine, Panipat. Dr. Paawan is also a licensed acupuncturist, posture instructor in Gokhale method and Alexander technique. He's also a certified diabetologist from Cleveland Clinic, USA. Teaching faculty at JROP Institute of Echocardiology. In the past, he has worked in prestigious institutes like GB Pant Hospital, Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital, New Delhi, for more than 5 years. Dr. Paawan's main interest these days is on reversal of diabetes. He has reversed more than 5,000 cases of type 2 diabetes, more than 1,000 cases of maturity onset diabetes of young, arrested more than 500 cases of latent autoimmune diabetes of adults, and arrested more than 50 cases of type 1 diabetes. Our final panelist is Dr. Alok Chopra, is an MD, MRCP. He did his schooling from St. Columbus High School, then his MBBS and MD from Maulana Azad Medical College, while working at LNJP and GB Pant Hospital. Finally, he received membership of the Royal College of Physicians in the UK and worked as a senior registrar in Royal Hammersmith Hospital while receiving fellowships from the College of Angiology in the USA. Later on in 1953, he established Alok Hospital, an upmarket secondary care hospital, and serving the community well. He has also been on the visiting board of Escorts, Fortis, and Max Hospitals as well. Currently, he has launched Daivam Wellness, which is a form of treatment which repairs our biochemistry and treats the root cause of the illness without pharma drugs and repairs our systems while the disease recovers as a side effect of the enhancement of health. Finally, I would also like to add that he works on certain pillars in his wellness system, which is, and certain slogans, which is disease proof your life, then reversing of chronic illnesses, that is cardiometabolic and diabetes, neurodegenerative illnesses, autoimmune disorders, and cancer. He's also working on regenerative medicine with peptides and peripheral blood optimized cells, and anti-aging and longevity and bioidentical hormonal therapy. So that was a long introduction, and I'm so happy to be here with such experienced and esteemed guests, and to get straight on to our topic that all our audience are waiting for. The first question. So I would like to tell our audience that the format of today's webinar is we are going to put a question to the panelists to bring in the topic, and all of them will answer it in 5 minutes each, and then we have a second round and a third round. So do pay active attention to the question and their valuable answers. So the first question that we have is here. I'll just scroll down to it. So what is the reason why there is so much of the prevalence of diabetes in the world? If you all could shed light on, is it something that happens automatically, that people think it's an autoimmune disorder, or are we doing something wrong? And that's the result why we have type 2 and type 1 diabetes also. So I would, this is the question to the panel. I would like Dr. Nandita Shah to please comment on it first.
Okay, so there are two different questions here. One is autoimmune or type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. And the main reason that we're getting so much of type 2 diabetes today is because we're eating and living the way we have been taught to by our culture, our society, and advertisements, rather than the way we have been designed to by nature or God. Like, imagine, every animal in nature knows how to eat and knows what to eat, but we don't. When we think that we're hunters, gatherers, or actually now we're just hunting in the supermarket, but we think that we are omnivores and we can eat anything. Actually, every animal has a niche, and we do too. Imagine we have instincts just like all the other animals on the planet. And if we were to go to a farm or an orchard and see fruits and vegetables, instinctively we feel like picking and eating them. But if we see a chicken walk by, or a goat or a cow, even if we're non-vegetarian, our mouth doesn't water. But not just non-vegetarians get diabetes, vegetarians do too. And that's because meat and milk have the same properties: high protein, high fat, and no fiber. And most doctors believe that you can get rid of diabetes just by cutting down sugar or carbohydrates. And actually, you can only get rid of any disease by getting rid of the cause of the problem. Now, sugar is not the cause of the problem. Sugar, or rather high blood sugar, is the result of diabetes. And the cause of diabetes is lack of insulin or insulin resistance. Type 1 diabetes, lack of insulin. Type 2 diabetes, which is most of the cases, insulin resistance. And the cause of insulin resistance is actually fat in the muscle cells. And the main cause of fat is our refined foods, oil, ghee, butter, as well as animal products, because all animal products are full of fat. Actually, fiber protects us, and fiber means no refining any foods. We have oil or sugar or white rice or white flour, or peel our vegetables or have juices. We should have all the fiber. Fiber holds onto fat, throws it out, and this can help in reversing diabetes. And just a word about type 1 diabetes. It's an autoimmune disease. And the main cause of autoimmune disease is that we are producing antibodies against ourselves. And these antibodies are produced because of foreign proteins. A simple example is that if you have a transplant, then the body produces antibodies against the new organ, which is why people who have a transplant need to take immunosuppressive treatment their entire lives. But in general public, what is the foreign protein? And it's animal products. We just explained how animal products are not our natural food. And it can also be things like vaccinations or blood transfusions or something else. Even a virus can land you up with an autoimmune disease like type 1 diabetes.
It's fine if we move on with a lesser time. I would like to ask Dr. Alok,
Yep.
could you please, yes, give us your take on this?
Well, to start with, I agree with Dr. Shah that, we need to live and eat and behave from our ancestral past. And the reason I say that is that, not that I want to take you all the way back, but our DNA has not changed for about 30,000 years, which means that we are stuck with certain aspects of our DNA, which we don't need now, which is to store fat and reduce fat burning. Now, you may wonder, why did God give us this funny property? In those times, it was good because food was scarce, and the only way they could live without eating for days on end was this property. So we have inherited this property. So we can't get rid of it. Now, the other thing is this other reason why it is so is because there is a deliberate, I'm calling it deliberate, destruction of our health by, hyperbolic headlines, internet echo chambers, people who are giving nutritionally deficient, addictive food, our regulatory authorities, pumping wrong information. So I take a little difference from what Dr. Shah said. I do not believe that fat is bad. What is bad is the trans fat, the bazari fats, the overcooked fats, the fats which are liquid at room temperature, the fats which have been overused, overburnt. Those are fat. But ghee is the nectar of the gods. How can we make it bad? It's not possible that ghee is bad. So ghee properly made from the right type of cows, which are the A2 grass-fed cows, and the white butter is good for us. Our DNA is very used to the unrefined mustard oil and coconut oil. These are our cooking oils. Any other oil which is liquid at room temperature, I'm calling it junk because they are very high in omega-6. The seeds that they are made from are good. That also in moderation, but the way the seed oils are made are terrible. They don't show you, they don't give you an immediate reaction, but the inflammation, especially in your mitochondria, is terrible. So that is one. So the other reason is that the refined carbohydrates, the flour, the carbohydrates which are badly done, those are bad. But carbs as a whole do raise the insulin at the most. You see, to give you a hormonal answer, that when you eat a carb, regardless of whether it is a good carb or a bad carb, the rise of insulin, rise of sugar is the highest, and consequently the insulin response is also the highest. Now, the property of retaining fat and reducing fat burning is done by insulin. So the higher the carbohydrate response, the bigger the insulin response, the bigger the message to store fat. So when you eat a protein, the message is half. When you eat a good fat, there is no rise of sugar. When I say good fat, it's not mixed with carbs, it's not mixed with sugar or anything else. A pure good fat will not raise the sugar. If it doesn't raise the sugar, it doesn't bring out the insulin. If it doesn't bring out the insulin, you have no message to store fat. So this is clear. This is a hormonal thing. This is not my makeup. This is our physiology. So I do not believe exactly what Dr. Shah said. We need to eat a good amount of good fats, a moderate amount of proteins, and a very lower amount of carbs, and that also the non-net carbs. That means the carbs which have fibers. But when we reverse diabetes, we start with a little bit different and slowly we build it up in our thing. So I think this is the basic premise that I want to tell you about. And these are the premise that I use for reversal very successfully.
Thank you, Dr. Alok, for your take and experience. Dr. Paawan, would you like to please give your insight into it? Your mic is yes.
So I feel for any disease, there are two reasons. It's very simple principle is most of the disease which are happening in the world, including the diabetes, is because of the conflict at the level of ahara vyavara. It is the wrong food which is causing the problem. And then in some patients, although I was giving very good dietary changes and after making all the changes, even then the sugars are not decreasing, because there is a conflict in the mind, which is mostly agony, anxiety, and the lack of love for the others. Regarding the food, I take it little spiritually. There are mostly people, what are they are doing, they are eating these two foods which are extracted from other species, like non-veg, then milk, and eggs, fishes, and food which is artificially made for earning profit, like all the industrial foods. So this is the main issues. People are not taking the food coming from the zero world, or the food going naturally in the nature under God's spirit, which is vitamin D, sunlight is not there, and vegetable, lentils, beans, fruits, and cereals, these things are lacking. It is all industrial refined food which is increasing, because it is all industry driven business, and all non-veg foods. This is creating an issue. And then we have conflicts in the mind, and I have worked on this part also, because in many of the patients, you do whatever, sugar will not decrease. There will be insulin will be required very heavily, and too much of tablets. So in those people, we are working to resolve these conflicts through acupuncture or some naturopathy, where I will show you my research, how I am dealing the conflicts in the mind. So these two are the main reasons. So for any disease, ahara vyavara, this is creating the problem. That's all from my side.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Paawan. Now I would like to ask Dr. Rupa for her insight.
Over the years, treating so many patients with all kinds of so-called incurable cases or diagnosis, and those who are taking lots of medications, and maybe the mainstream medicine have given up, and those kind of patients, when they recover and they become completely healthy, from there I learned many lessons about healing, and I understood that every disease is a story. It tells us what's really wrong, and it doesn't come from anywhere, somewhere. We are not victims of it. We are always developing our own system to receive a disease. This is how it is. It doesn't happen just like that by a mistake. You have done something wrong in your ahar, vihar, achar, vichar, in your thinking, in your being, in your emotions, in your eating. So all of this together is preparing a ground for a disease to happen. And when that happens, no external supports are going to give a permanent result. They all only change the scene, just suppress the disease. But only when you correct the mistake that has happened at whichever level, then only the disease will reverse. If you have a huge emotional stress and then this happened, like type 2 diabetes, then there's a possibility that you need to handle this entire issue from the emotional point of view. If the diet and lifestyle are totally wrong, then you have to help them from the wrong diet. The diet that I usually recommend for reversing type 2 diabetes is whole food, plant-based diet. And that has given me very, very good results. And if there is no other reason like stress, even the exercise level is very good, then the results are very fast. So I believe in this kind of a holistic approach, taking the history of the patient and then helping exactly where the cause is seen. Diet forms the step one, the foundation. If your diet is wrong, then all other things do not complete the picture. So you have to do a full-fledged approach. If the person is very lazy and not exercising and eating a lot of rich food, it's just not justifying, then they have to move their body. They have to introduce the exercises. So there are just 4 parts I want to speak. Wrong diet, not doing any exercise, not paying attention to your sleep, and lots of stress in your life. All these things, plus also if you have lack of love or there's no healthy relationship, then this environment also impacts. Plus these days, the air that we breathe in, the water that we drink, the food that we eat, all of these are now, loaded with all kinds of chemicals. I mean, the clothes that we wear, or even the products that we use, everywhere there are chemicals. So I see this also a issue of chemical overload on our system. Plus, I also pay attention to a lot of our lifestyle where digital gadgets are used a lot more. So that is called as electromagnetic pollution, and there is chemical pollution. All of these are contributing factors, and I pay attention, and I want to correct at all these levels to help all this type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes also just doesn't happen just like that. There's a very, very clear story. Something has triggered off the autoimmune reaction, and then the disease happens, then the cells of the pancreas destroy, and then the insulin is now required. So fortunately we have been able to help some of those kind as well with autoimmune disorders. So I recommend that always look for the real story, the cause, and then when you point out, plan out, put the steps there, and then move ahead. Then any disease, this is not just for type 2 diabetes or autoimmune disorders, but for any disease, this is the approach. Thank you, Daryl.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Rupa, Dr. Pramod, would you please share your insights?
Sure. An individual needs to reflect and identify, and a family, I wouldn't say just an individual, because it's a family which is involved in certain practices. Okay. So an individual and a family needs to kind of reflect and really identify that with the so-called healthy eating, because most of the people you talk with, they'll say, oh, we're eating pretty healthy, we hardly ever eat outside. Large chunk of them, okay, in India, okay, we take very little oil also, we are conscious about it and stuff like that. So what I feel about this, the reason for this disease to keep increasing and exploding despite a variety of doctors putting in good efforts in it, is just the sheer mass hypnotic state that the population is in, real dearth of information, clear ignorance about be it food, be it exercise. Oh my God. I mean, vegan diet, definitely, I think it gives results universally as you begin it, and it takes you to a wonderful stage pretty quickly. But the moment cravings come in, challenges come in, exercise part is not clear, and many people just keep walking for 45 minutes. We've not understood exercise properly as a country, I would say. Okay, that's why so few people go into Olympics, or they are able to really, get into advanced states of physical fitness. Of course, genetically, there are many other exercise forms, sports in which we perform well. But at a family level, at a household level, at a grassroots level, there is very clear clarity. It's very clear that there is lack of clarity in terms of the food, in terms of the exercise part, in terms of of course, stresses different people have for different degrees, in terms of experiencing also, and acknowledgement also that the stress is there. So it's a very, very big ocean out there. There are many, many factors involved in it, with the basic components already being communicated by all. And what would really help is families and individuals taking a stock of what time do they get up. Okay, what is the first thing that goes into their mouth? How do they go about exercising? Because there's the tea and the biscuits which dominate diabetics' life without sugar. The poha, upma, idli, dosa of the world, paratha, cornflakes dominate the breakfast in the country, and for Indians largely. Over dependence on grains also at times. The tendency to taste the grain first. We tend to eat grains like a teaspoon. We break the roti, we make it like a teaspoon, we dip it in the sambar or dal, we kind of touch it on the vegetables and just have it. So the way we program our tongues to the daily food, and we can have like 3 rotis with 1 katori dal, and that is going to create carbohydrate rise. That's going to create insulin rise. There's going to be insulin resistance. There are 7 causes of insulin resistance which we focus upon for people to understand. And when they start reflecting on each of the causes and go deep into each of the causes, they start connecting with, yes, this is more relevant for me, that's more relevant for me. You know, it could be from IGF molecules or age molecules coming from dairy, could be acid and inflammation, it could be excess fat inside the muscle cells, okay, and of course overall excess fat inside the body. It could be lack of micronutrition, it could be stagnated lymph, stuck up blood inside the system, lack of muscle strength, and stress. 7 causes are there. And when an individual reflects on it, reflects at the family level, and starts finding that's not only diabetes, but if you look at all the contributory connected diseases of insulin resistance, which is a large chunk of type 2 in this country, 90% plus, be it obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, hypothyroid, heart attack, or let's say strokes also for that matter, then snoring, joint pains, acidity, acanthosis, where they start getting black necks, okay, even kids are getting black necks and stuff like that, and PCOD, PCOS. All these 10 issues are connected to insulin resistance, which has again been pointed out by certain panelists, and we need to really create a lot of awakening as to what is this insulin resistance, break it down into the nitty-gritties. How is it applicable to you into your real life? Because everybody, you know, are trying their level best not to get into diabetes, and even if they've got into diabetes, they're trying to follow a regime which is reasonably good or so-called good as communicated by their diet experts, and still not getting rid of the problem. So a deep education, literally shaking up out of ignorance regarding all these aspects of food, or for that matter exercise, like not just depending on walking, but also getting into lymphatic movement, getting the stuck up blood, getting the stuck up energies moving inside the body in the first phase, and working in a phase-wise manner. I find that works much better. And people feel, you know, one diet will fit everybody. It cannot fit. It's
That's
not
right.
possible.
Doctor, yes. Doctor, 5 minutes, is it quite over
Good.
5 minutes? So, but yes.
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks.
You can, address that more in your formula and the
Next
solution.
question. Yeah. Sure.
Yes. So I would, from what I'm hearing, from all the wonderful panelists, I'm seeing that the majority, the biggest contribution of diabetes seems to be coming from food, and then the next seems to be exercise, and then your stress management, and at the family level what's happening. So I would like to bring in the second question of to each panelist. What is your formula with your patients and your clients and at your centers? What is the formula you've been using to help people reverse diabetes? Dr. Nandita Shah. Doctor, your mic is on mute. Please unmute.
Thank you for that, Daryl. Thank you. So I think it's similar to what some of us have already said, that we advise a plant-based, whole, and also organic, because chemicals are hormone disruptors and diabetes is a hormonal problem, food regimen. And of course, as already mentioned, that stress is one of the big causes of diabetes. And so I do want to mention one thing about food and stress, though, that very few people understand why food actually causes stress, but the food that we're eating today causes stress. One of the reasons is animal products per se, because when we are stressed, we produce adrenaline and cortisol. When animals are stressed, they produce adrenaline and cortisol. And no matter which cow you consume dairy from, the cow is stressed because she has produced the milk for her baby, and that is not being allowed. Baby is tied up, cow's legs are tied up, and milk is extracted and sold. I actually call this stealing, and I actually call the procedure rape, because cows are artificially inseminated so that they'll become pregnant and their babies are taken away from them. That's where the calf leather is coming from. So we have to understand there's a huge stress amongst the animal kingdom, but they are part of us. We are living in the same world as them. And when this stress passes on to everyone, it's coming back to us, you know, like, I mean, whether you believe in karma or whether you believe that we are the cause of our stress, we are. Our thoughts are, but also our actions are. And so it's coming back to us. And I've seen a huge difference or a huge shift in my own state of mind since I went completely plant-based, but I'm seeing it again and again in patients. And so I feel that it's a very, very important aspect. But stress cannot just be reversed by changing the diet. There are people who are seriously stressed because they, you know, we as a culture have not been taught how to handle stress. We go to school and we learn languages and mathematics and geography and history, but nobody teaches us how to behave or how to manage relationships, you know. And so that is a very important aspect. And then I do also believe that there are a lot of myths that we don't, I mean, you know, there are myths about, most people believe that medicines can cure. That's why they go to doctors. But actually, in this world, no medicine has cured any diabetic up to now, right? So we have to understand that we have to get to the level of cause, remove the cause. I agree with Dr. Rupa Shah also that, you know, electromagnetic waves are one of the causes these days, right? So, and not enough rest, and rest at the right time, because our body only heals during rest. For example, when we are sick, our body tells us how to heal. Our body knows, and our body will tell us that don't eat or rest, but usually we take tablets and move on, right? So we have to learn to listen to our body, and our body will tell us exactly how to heal. And diabetes can be healed in the same way. And then, of course, sunshine, water, fresh air is very important, and getting rid of chemicals. And chemicals come in different ways. One is in the non-organic food and packaged foods, of course. Two is personal care products. We're slathering ourselves with chemicals. Toothpaste, soap, shampoos, deodorants, hair dyes, shaving cream, and now hand sanitizers, you know, cosmetics. All of these, whatever we put on our skin is absorbed through the skin. And so we're taking in chemicals all the time. And then chemicals that come through home care products, the toilet cleaners, window cleaners, agarbattis, air fresheners, and so on. Also the detergents and all of these things. And finally, the, the, the external pollution, the environmental pollution, which although we can't do much about, we have to recognize that we are, as a species, are the cause of. And so we have to collectively do something about it. And I think that, you know, this pandemic is so vital because it's nature's way of telling us to look into all these things. In fact, many things have improved since the pandemic in terms of health.
Right. Thank you, Doctor. Now, I would like to hear from Dr. Alok Chopra. Would you please give your formula of how you have been, you know, what has really worked for your clients and patients in reversing diabetes?
Okay, so you see again, I practice what we call bioregulatory and restorative medicine, which looks, at balancing the loss of harmony within our bioregulatory systems, which are working without our control and command. So for us, there are no systems like respiratory system, kidney or heart. There are no diseases, there is no system. Our systems are nutrition, our gut microbiome, our metabolic control, our hormonal balance, inflammation control, detox control, our structural integrity, our psychospiritual integrity, and epigenetics. I first lay a patient bare on all these 9 parameters, and I get all the information, including laboratory work, etc., etc. Then I go back into my ancestral past. I want to give you a day in the life of our ancestors. See, they wake up in the morning and start to run to look for food or run away from a wild animal. And then they would pick up some weight, walk a little, sprint a little, walk a little. So the first lesson that we learn from them, and we have to learn from them because our DNA is the same, that a 1 hour steady state walk is of no value in treating diabetes, but you should do some higher intensity training and many times moderate activity. One. They deserved a good meal after a big effort, so the first meal should be the biggest meal. And what did they eat? Everybody thought that they were carnivores. They weren't. They were, their meals were about 80% was vegetables, nuts, seeds, barks, and their fuel was duck fat and animal lard. Right, so we are primed to use that as fuel, as fat as our fuel. The only non-veg they ate was fish and duck, which is why fish and duck are still the preferred non-veg foods. I'm not very fond of the other ones at all. The third lesson is that morning to evening they're running, eating, picking up something, and till sunset, they have to eat whatever was left because food was scarce. So whatever was left from the morning, they ate sundown. That's the third lesson. That your second meal has to be before sundown. It's not very easy to do in this world, but we can compensate by eating at least 3 hours between our last meal and sleep. The fourth lesson is that there are only 2 meals. And the fifth lesson is that our distribution of our macronutrients should be predominantly good fat, moderate proteins, and very low carbs. Now, that's the basic principle. So now I start by telling them which carbs to eat. We get rid of the net carbs completely for the moment. We bring in our ancient grains like bajra, jowar, ragi, amaranth, kuttu, besan, etc. These are our good carbs, but that also we start at a lower level. All the vegetables minus the underground ones in the beginning. That means 70 to 80% of my plate is vegetables. A fistful of nuts, a lot of the seeds. Nut seeds shouldn't be overeaten because they're very high in omega-6. And that's one big problem that the vegetarians face because they do not get omega-3, which is the primary driving force in our diabetes reversal. So from that, why fish, I prefer fish and fish oils and not the seed oils. I've already talked about the oils. Then we have fermented foods, which are very good for the diabetics, but I don't give them until I get their gut cleaning from the candida and all, because they will feed on it. Lots of fiber, whatever you can get. We've discussed about the meats because I don't want to discuss more because of I've said about the fish and the duck mostly. Then dairy, no dairy. We do not allow people to have dairy, but we do allow some amount of hung curd or hard cheese, the way Greek yogurt is made. That is okay. Eggs is a very powerful item in my dictionary, and the problem with egg is that when you heat an egg, it actually gets oxidized. The cholesterol in the white get oxidized. So I have raw egg smoothies or very simply poached eggs. Now this cholesterol myth is absolutely bunkum, and we need another platform to talk about that. Cholesterol is not your enemy. If cholesterol was bad, God would not have made it. 80% of our cholesterol is made by our liver. Our cell membranes are made from there. Our hormones are made by there. Our fat-soluble hormones are carried by them. Your attack from bacterial overgrowth is caused by them. Your gray matter is made by cholesterol. And if God is not a fool, he wouldn't make cholesterol if it wasn't for you. So LDL is not a cholesterol. HDL is not a cholesterol. Please understand that. HDL and LDL are carriers of cholesterol. They are carrying a very valuable chemical into the places where it's needed. It's only when you eat the junk foods and you oxidize your LDL carrier, or you autoimmune it, or you inflame it, that gets stuck in the arteries. So blaming cholesterol for heart disease is like blaming the fireman for the fire, right? It's a wounded fireman. He happened to be in the scene of crime. So this is the difference we have to make. So please do not ever treat cholesterol as your biggest friend.
Yes. Doctor, could you conclude, please?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. To conclude, I would say a well-formulated, high-fat, high-good fat, no trans fats, so no liquid oils, moderate protein, because if you eat excess protein, you will go poor doctor who died because of that Atkins. And then very low carbs, and gradually we bring up the ancient carbs into the scene. And then I like to do at least a longer part of fasting, because as Dr. Shah said, that if you fast for a longer period, you get repair, your mitochondria repair, the cells, the cancerous cells die down, your young cells and stem cells come out, and they are allowed to heal, and you become a younger person.
Thank you, doctor. Dr. Paawan, could you please give your formula for your mic is yes.
Yeah. So I am again sharing my screen. In my journey of, I passed my MD in 2011, and since then 9 years I am working on this concept of reversing the diabetes. I will show you what I use at my center, the formula how we reverse diabetes. So it is very simple. We take a model of a car. Our body is like a human body is like a car, and what happens is actually suppose some nut bolt is not working, nut bolt is damaged. So what happens simply is you go to the mechanic to fix that nut bolt. This is what happens when we have headaches, we have fevers, we have some kind of very high diabetes, like somebody comes into diabetic ketoacidosis, somebody comes with neuropathic pains, and then we go to the mechanic, which may be, the mechanic may be one second, it's just a little slow. I have to finish in 5 minutes. So mechanic may be an allopathic practitioner, it may be Ayurvedic practitioner, it may be acupuncturist, it may be homeopathy, so anything. So whenever these patients come to me with neuropathic pains, headaches, or urine infections level, we use allopathic medicine as well as acupuncture to solve those small issues, these which are just, there's a problem in some nut bolt. So we use acupuncture in that, and we successfully reverse most of the times without using any medicine, all these issues. The next issue is, which the body can have is, your car should go to the service station for servicing. Wait, so, okay, so your car should go to the service station regularly for service. And our body is a car which need regular service, which may be in the form of walk, it may be in the form of yoga, it may be in the form of Tai Chi. So let's see. We recommend yoga to people, Tai Chi, and exercises. So what we do is at our clinic, we have a very good plan. We tell people about strong, intense exercise regimens, isometric exercises, and walking upstairs against the hill, which are again gravity exercises, which are doing giving dramatic response. We have we have developed courses in Einiger yoga, Alexander technique, and Gokhale method, where we correct the spine, like the postures we correct, and then Tai Chi we develop, we do seminars to which relieves their stress and all. And then what happens next is human body, actually what happens is human body is a Mercedes car, and it is like, it requires constant fuel also. If you put good quality of fuel in your body gives good mileage. And if you put bad quality of food in your body is not going to last long. So if you're taking junk foods and all wrong foods in your plate, you are not going to last long, you will develop disease. So what we did is, we studied all the pioneers of nutrition. We studied Dr. Nandita Shah from our panelist, and then Dr. Michael Greger, Dr. Dean Ornish, Dr. T. Colin Campbell, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, and Dr. John McDougall, and we developed Smile Triogen food consciousness, which I just explained, that we recommend people to eat these two kinds of food. Only the food which comes from the zero world, that is the sunlight, and whole food plant-based diet, strict whole food plant-based diet, and it is giving magical results in reversing the diabetes. This is 6 key food consciousness as per the Chinese medicine we have developed. Whatever the tasir of the patient, like somebody is heat, somebody is more of dryness, somebody is more of wind. So how to tackle allergies and all, we have developed that concept. And then we have, last is the human body also requires is one more spiritual fuel. That spiritual fuel is love, smile, and happiness. So about that, what we do is we take people for the seminars of meditation. We go to Bhopal, we have there, and we take them to meditations. And then what I have done is recently to tackle the stress, I have done my research on saffron. Saffron is something like magical in dealing with depression and anxiety. We have research papers on that how saffron is magically working in reversing depression, anxiety, and agony in people. So we use a lot of saffron, recommend as a medicine. We use it, and we are successfully treating all the cases of anxiety and agony and stress and depression with saffron. So this is one of my presentation where I give people a lot of saffron and how they tell. So this is my model. This is how I reverse diabetes at my center.
Thank you, Dr. Paawan. Now I would like to ask Dr. Pramod Tripathi to please share his insights on the model that he uses in Freedom from Diabetes. Dr. Pramod?
Yeah, just a second.
Yes.
Just a second. So at Freedom from Diabetes, we use a phase-wise model. We call something, when they begin the journey, we call it the adjustment phase. And it goes on for 4 weeks, 6 weeks or so. Once they've done that, then we get into something called as an acceleration phase, where they speed up and they do some more stuff on diet and exercise. Then the stress part is introduced, called the inner transformation phase. And depending on their BMI, there has to be at least a 5-point drop in BMI, especially for those who are, let's say, above 28, okay, before they go into a little different diet. And if they hit the 23 BMI point, then again the diet is changed. That's called a little bit of sampling and athletic specialization phase, where they go on a muscle building diet. And then there's a maintenance kind of a diet and exercise part which goes on. So 1 year process. We strongly feel that, I mean, we tried various formats. We tried a 2-hour format, tried 4-hour format, tried 1 month, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. Samajh mein aaya ki Diwali to Diwali, Holi to Holi, you need to be in touch with the participants, because there's so many deviations that come up that they need to be in touch. So our overall plan is that way. It's like a proper 1 year process we kind of educate on. We also find that human beings are designed for feasting and fasting. They love to eat whenever the festivals come up across all cultures and religions, and they need to be trained to fast whenever they're not feasting. Also, the same diet may not work for a long period of time because they get bored. And also, based on the goals of the body, you might have to modulate the calories. Okay, like first 2 phases, we make it a little low calorie diet. It's whole food, plant based, absolutely, very much. Second phase goes into juice feasting, intermittent fasting, water fasting. Okay, so there's a period of alkalization which is allowed through the diet, and activation through the exercises in the first phase. Second phase goes into cleansing through the cleansing kind of exercises, and a detoxification kind of a diet where you kind of fast quite a bit. Okay, of course, depending on your BMI. So those who are less than 21 BMI, they go on a different diet. Once that is done, once you're seeing the body kind of detoxify a bit, inflammation is coming down, okay, repair work is improving and all that, HSCRP levels are coming down. So doing a lot of tests also beginning after 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year. That also really helps. We got our own battery of tests evolved over a period of time. And we do handle a large crowd, like 800, 900,000 people also at times in a month, every month joining in now. So things have really taken off. It's a 120 plus member team now. who takes care of it. There are doctors, there are diet experts, there are exercise experts. So it's quite a thing to build the variety in, because type 1s have to be given a little different diet, modis, ladas have to be given a little different diet. Principles remain the same largely. But exercise part, we always feel that the diet initiates the reversal. Okay, diet initiates the reversal. Exercise and strength building. And there are people who would choose an exercise form and specialize. Like for example, those who are endos, those who are on the heavier side, some of them take on to cycling, for example. And that works better for them than running. So there are people who do 100 kilometers plus cycling. And there's a lot of inspiration component, which is very useful for them. So the system is built around education. And while they learn what is supposed to be done, they implement. And while they're implementing, they need support. Okay, because everybody has their ups and downs. And it's a very individualistic journey somewhere, where they want their life problems to be solved. Okay. At the same time, they benefit from group therapy. So we use group sessions, monthly group sessions. We use a group chat, okay, along with individual therapy on diet, exercise, doctor and all that. Also a mentor, the next patient who, just talks with them in the initial part to guide them. So we feel this integrated model really works, because human behavioral change for the individual and the family is the biggest thing to tackle. Once you know, okay, this is not good for you, the problem is implementing it for a sustained period of time till it becomes a part of your wisdom and you change from inside. So that's a very, very big crucial part which you learned over a period of time, that we have to crack it to a certain degree. So diet initiates the reversal, exercise sustains the reversal, inner transformation seals the reversal. Inner transformation seals the reversal, okay? And that's very, very important. And there has to be a lot of individualization. I find किसी को gases बढ़ जाता है, किसी को constipation, किसी को diarrhea, किसी को acidity, किसी को headache, and as Dr. Paawan said, there would be tasir. So there could be a vata pitta kapha kind of a personality from the Ayurveda angle. You have to modify the diet accordingly. We've got specialists who take care of that also. And yeah, so we've kind of phase it out over a 5-phase journey over a year, step by step, systematic, and that works.
Yes, thank you, doctor. Yeah, a very organized and systematic approach, and I would like to hear now from Dr. Rupa of how she's been helping her patients reverse diabetes.
So diabetes is only a diagnosis, like it is the person whom we need to treat, or person whom we need to connect to start a journey of believing that they can become healthy all over again. They can reverse all the diseases, and they can just also not only reverse them, but they can prevent them. I stay in Mumbai city, and I see every day very sick people who are taking lots of medication. They are convinced, that you need one for your sleep and one for your kidney and one for your cholesterol and maybe something for your teeth. So to start some process with them is quite a thing. Many of them are used to going to many different doctors and all kinds and all pathies, and they mix it up, and to bring them to a state where gradually, one step at a time, you start believing that your body heals. You do not need such, all these different medications. So, if they get fever also, they'll just go to take self-medication, crocin. So it's like a continuous dialogue and education with the patient. Also, I believe that a patient is not just the patient. Or say, for example, we human beings are not just isolated human beings. We are completely connected to our environment, to the people we live with, to even the animal kingdom, everything together. So a patient is not treated in an isolated model, but also seen as sum total of his own environment. So paying attention to all aspects of it. So I actually do one-on-one consultations. I don't I had opportunity to do group consultations or group therapy, but each patient is taken separately with more of a understanding the entire process, the dialogue, his relationship with the 5 elements, his constitution, pretty much like Ayurveda, like Kapha, Pitta, and Vata, and just to kind of know that what will suit. I'm also paying attention to his genetic inheritance. I pay attention to cultural habits of the individual. So a Punjabi patient is used to eating a lot of paneer. So I will replace it with tofu. So you keep the culture, but you give the food that they are familiar with in a much better fashion. So keeping the cultural traditions alive. The Gujarati person wants maybe buttermilk, or South Indian wants his curd rice. So I will pay attention to make that his diet plan is pretty much with the culture of the home. However, in alignment and not a burden, not a clash, but somewhere we have to show what is not good for health and what is good for health, and do one step at a time. And it's quite a journey. It's really of re-education, because uh, we are trying to walk against the tide, where they all come from visiting an endocrinologist who puts a rubber stamp and says, you got diabetes, you got to take remedy for your life. And so he comes and he's like a very surprised look. You think I can reverse it? That's the first one that I encounter. Yes, you can, and I will show you how. So to re-establish his faith that he can literally get out of this entire thing is the first one. And then gradually reducing his medications, paying attention to the sleep patterns. And I also do what is called as dinacharya. That means what time they sleep, what time they wake up, which is the largest meal of the day, which is all in alignment with the 5 elements. Because I believe that if we follow the rules of the nature, and then the healing is much easier. It's less burden on the system. It's very easy then. We also follow the Rutucharya as per the season. We also follow which country they live in, which is, and what is their constitution. So finally, just a simple one line. It's like, it's not about just eating food. It's not just about eating physical food. It's also about eating emotional food or a mental food. And it's not even about just the food. It's also about who is eating the food. Can he digest it? Can he assimilate it? Can he eliminate it? All these parts are part of the healing, the diabetes process. So this is how I help, and the magic happens actually in the first week itself, and they are very shocked, that the sugar starts dropping. And that's the first miracle. The rest happens. I just start smiling. Rest will happen. So this is how it's the journey. And if the patients don't get better after some time, I would see it as my failure, because something for me to learn, something that I need to figure out what is preventing, what is more that needs to be done. Maybe there are a lot of toxins in their large intestine, which needs to be removed through various enemas. Maybe he needs also fasting, maybe more raw foods, maybe feasting on juices. So all those things, get added, and it's more into dialogue with patients, what he likes, what he agrees to, and what we inspire, and gradually take him to his journey. This is how I do. Also, my final conclusion is this, that the healing happens from the spiritual to the mental, to the emotional, to the physical body. So the healing must happen across the board. I don't want a patient with low sugar levels, but emotionally very bad. It has to be healing from the higher level to the lower level. So that is very important, that the person starts healing totally. And always the healing first at the higher level, then the body will heal. So this is how I follow the rules of nature. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rupa. It's I really like your approach. Working on all the aspects of the human being. How can our viewers get in touch with you or understand your protocol, your programs? Can you share some website or your support system for people who want to get in touch with you or your organization to access the benefits and your programs? Dr. Nandita, your mic is muted, doctor.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you, Daryl. So I want to say that our organization is sharan-india.org, and I'll just share it in the chat after I finish speaking. And so we help people through a variety of ways. The one is my book, Reversing Diabetes in 21 Days, which actually systematically tells a person exactly how they can do it and benefit. And lots of people have got results just from that book. The second is we have an online program, which is not supported, but you take the program, you can watch it at your own timing. It's interactive and it's got a lot of information that you can pick and choose, as well as a lot of things that are fixed format, so that and it's a 21-day online program. So every day you learn something new. By the end of the 21 days, you know everything. And it also has 3 days to prepare. And it also has a chart where you can track your changes and everything. Then we have consultations, and we have a team of consultants, both nutritionists and doctors. And the important thing about all our consultants is that they have personally reversed diseases through our method themselves. They're very passionate about it and they want to spread it. And so automatically, you know, the energy flows. And then we have a team of facilitators, and we have lots of programs on our website. I personally do reversing diabetes and hypertension programs, but we have amazing cooking classes, and we also have amazing fitness, physical fitness, mental fitness, all kinds of classes, so that people can pick and choose according to their level in order to get the results right till the end. And I do want to say we had a fantastic 21-day retreat where we would do all the lab reports at the beginning and all the lab reports at the end. And just during the retreat, serve amazing food, lots of exercise, lots of fun, and cut down medications so that by the end of the retreat, they're off most or all of their medications, and they can actually see a difference in their lab reports. So this is the way we help people reverse diabetes. I do want to add one more thing, that we're not limited to reversing diabetes, and we work on all lifestyle diseases and we get amazing results. All our team members have actually got results themselves, which is why the passion flows.
Thank you, Dr. Nandita. That is, yeah. I've seen also the passion, and met and spoken with some of your team, and I have known a few of them when they had diabetes, and then when they got into your system and came out, and how they have been teaching others. So yes, I've seen that. It's a wonderful system. Thank you for sharing it with us. Dr. Alok, would you like to share with us how people can get in touch with you, your programs?
Yes, so I'm the founder of this Daivam Wellness, and I don't know how should I give the details. I can send the website.
Is there a website?
Yes, it's called daivamwellness.com. daivamwellness.com, and I can give you the name of the person who you could contact to contact. So, okay, so what we do is that we also have a 21-day program. A patient, when he comes, he gets a consultation with me or whoever person like me, along with the diabetes coach. He's put through certain lab investigations, and we then do a lot of what we call a diabetes risk profiler, which measures all the arterial blood flow, his sensation in the foot, all those things. We do a body composition analysis, then we do a metal mineral toxicity analysis, then we do a biowell. This thing we measure their auras and we balance their chakras. Then we put a continuous glucose monitoring thing and send them out. On the 4th day, for 4 days, they do what they are doing before, so that we know what is happening. On the 4th day, I review his reports, all the reports, then give my method of treatment, whichever it may be. And then for the next 7 days, the patient comes back again, we review the thing. And finally, around 14 days, his sugar is gone, his insulin is stopped. And the last 7 days, they are actually sitting with the mindfulness expert, the psychologist, the acupuncturist, the acupressurist. Then based on that toxicity test, we give certain IV therapies. After the IV therapies, we leach out all the metals and put them in infrared or near infrared sauna so that the metal comes out. Then we give intravenous ozone so that we refresh the whole thing. And many of these IVs are then given by high dose of vitamin C, glutathione, all these items which are very important for the body. And finally, select people, we put them in hyperbaric oxygen chambers where we have 3 atmospheres of oxygen. So by 21 days, we give them a chutti, that go home and relax and spend a little time with yourself. At the same time, in the basement of our facility, we have nearly maybe a 2,000 square feet gym, which is made with the help of Dr. Abhinav Bindra, our the Olympic specialist. He has made a medical gym, which is one of the best places in India, I would say, to rejuvenate your muscles, to teach you how to balance. All the exercise programs are there. On the top floor, we have yoga halls, and we do the chakra balancing, chakra healing, and acupuncture, acupressure in a complete way. So it's a complete method. We have Ayurvedic specialists also who are working on it. So we have worked a way where we have distilled the biochemistry of modern medicine and instilled the gyan of Ayurveda and yoga in a very integral way. And now we have also started destination sites, waiting a destination site all over India, where we are going to have 14-day, 21-day, and 30-day programs to heal people.
Oh.
And it's called Devam Wellness, DAIVAM, devamwellness.com.
Okay, okay. Thank you, doctor.
And I can
Dr. Paawan, would you please like to comment how people can get in touch with you and your program?
Thank you. I run a small center in Panipat called as Dr. Paawan Center of Diabetes, Wellness and Holistic Medicine, where I do my normal OPD. So my aim is actually, there are 2 things. Some people are not ready to change. Even then they need attention, because my aim is always to give them, to save them from the dangerous medicine. Like some of the medicines people using like pioglitazones, I want to save them from. So I would love people, I want them to come to minimal medicine. So my 50% OPD is for those people who are not ready to change, but want minimal medicine and a good medicine, which is very safe. Means like there's some protocols which I have made, which medicines are safe and which are not. Then some people, they know my name and they come to me that they will want to reverse ourselves. Not only diabetes, I am taking cases of hypertension, heart disease, then maybe some few cases of cancers also I am dealing with whole food plant-based diet. So the people who wants that consultation, that we take separately, because a lot of time has to be given to them. And then whatever knowledge I learn, whatever new research I attain, I just put it on the YouTube. There's a channel of Dr. Paawan Wadhawan on the YouTube, where all the videos on all the knowledge which I have on whole food plant-based diet, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, all the programs, how to reverse diabetes, how to reverse heart disease, how to reverse hypertension, how to reverse cancer, are free for the public to watch as a token of respect to Mother India. So, and the people who want to come in touch with me, I will share my phone, my secretary's phone number, and my. You just put my name on internet. You will get my get to know about my center. And anybody, we do online OPD also. You can come in touch with my secretary. He will give you appointment. I do evening OPDs, online OPDs. And
if you could share, doctor, if you could share the number of your secretary, so people can.
I will share it. And it is a simple, I'm an allopathic physician, simply doing my OPD and running a small center and helping people. And my diet plans are mostly in Haryana. I realized that if I tell people don't take this, don't take this, don't take this, it is not going to work. So I designed a diet plan telling people you have to take this, this. Like you have to daily drink half liter of soya milk. Only then they will stop. You have to eat tofu daily. So the people here are not ready to change. So my most of my diet plans are there. It will be fully packed with the meals. You have to do this, and simply most of the people are getting reversed. And my main interest right now, which I'm focusing on, is in diabetes, is on LADA and type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes was a challenge for me. In the past, and I did all the research, and up till now I have arrested 50 cases of type 1 diabetes, and I am going to present the data also in a journal also, that they came to me very early in the early phase, and this I was able to change their diet, shift them to whole food plant-based diet and all my new
Yes.
treatment modalities. And their C-peptide levels we are monitoring regularly. They are constantly rising. Out of 50, around 30 patients are off the insulin. They come to us regularly. We monitor them. So main thing is the focus is the difficult part is LADA and type 1 diabetes. MODI and type 2 not a big deal. Just simple whole food plant-based diet. 1 month, 2 months, it's finished. But yes, type 1 and LADA is an issue where we need to focus on the mind issue. A lot of stress we are taking. So this is how I simply work in my clinic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Paawan. Dr. Rupa, how would you like people to get in touch with you and your organization?
Yeah, so my clinic is called as Healing Temple, and I'm based in Mumbai, and I have a website called as drrupashah.com. And I also use the other natural remedies and therapies as a supportive apart from the diet and lifestyle and consultation. So they are called as Indian flower remedies. And my husband, Dr. Atul Shah, he's a radiologist. Both of us have together pioneered these remedies on our own, and we've been using it for more than 37 years. They are completely energy-based remedies, and I use them to support my patients whenever required, and I've got a great experience on this. So drrupashah.com to book individual consultations. I also have some of the programs and packages and other things you can see. I also promote other brands like my own. They are Kitchen Doctor, Circle of Health, and Compassion Magazine. And also the remedies are exported as OM, AUM brand to many countries in the world for more than 30 years now. So I teach other therapists how to use remedies and how to basically bring in the nature's healing powers and take advantage of it and balance all the 5 elements. This is what I do. So you will find me on the internet as drrupashah.com.
Thank you, Dr. Rupa.
I also have YouTube channels though. Many, about 400 videos are there.
Wow.
You can all watch.
Lovely. Thank you. Dr. Pramod, how would you like people to get in touch with you? I already know one answer, that is just Google freedom from diabetes and they'll reach you. But please share.
Yeah, sure. So what I want to communicate to everybody is ideally they should attend the first session, which is a 2-hour, 2.5-hour session with question answers, goes on for 3.5 hours. To register for that first session, they should go to drpramodtripathi.com. Okay, they'll get the Hindi, English versions of it, and they just register for that. Then they get a feel of the full year plan, how it's going to be, and of course they get a lot of information if they want to do it themselves. Okay, so that is one. Second is freedomfromdiabetes.org. Lot more information is there on that particular site, and number is very simple: 77760. I'll send that also. And YouTube channel, more than 1.5 lakh subscribers are there. A lot of interesting videos on scientific data, analysis of different modalities. So you can go through that. That's it.
Thank you, Doctor. From Indira Gandhi, okay, and she was advising the nation that we are growing too much of wheat and rice, and this is not natural in nature. And I was just shocked. I read it about a year back. So what I'm talking about is these spikes of glucose that you're having 4 times a day. Who's going to bring it down, right? And of course, the pancreas have got to make insulin, and the pancreas are going to bring that insulin down. So the question is that if you follow such a pattern, obviously your insulin levels in your body are going to be high. And according to me, modern human beings, we have a blood composition is totally whacked. It's out of balance with so much of high insulin. So that's why I think that's one of the very basic causes of insulin resistance. So you have blood that is going to your brain, to your liver, to your kidneys, to your spleen, to your bladder, that has not got the original composition of what human beings' blood used to have. It's high in insulin. So obviously you're going to have insulin resistance. That is an expression of the human body. So my question to my panelists is that, have you also seen this trend? Have you experienced it? And has it been very clear that to you that, this needs to happen? That is, complex carbs like rice and wheat need to come down in their place maybe millets or whatever else you would advise? Dr. Nandita?
So I totally agree with you, Daryl, because, as I said, we talk about what did nature design for us to eat. And if we're on a farm and we see fruits and vegetables, instinctively we feel like picking them. But if you see green fields of wheat and rice, even though it's pleasant, our mouth doesn't water, right? Whose mouth will water? Maybe a cow. So it's not our food. And when we eat foods that are not suitable to us, it's a little bit like taking a car that runs on diesel and putting in petrol or vice versa. So, but anyhow, because people can't change everything overnight, we have 5 stages of health. The first stage is where we kind of put them into, which is whole, plant-based and organic. And of course, if they can have millets instead of wheat and rice, that's great. The second stage happens by itself, where grains automatically fall off, because you can get that complex carbohydrate even from potatoes or sweet potatoes or tapioca, any root vegetable, or even pumpkin and other non-root vegetables. And so, but it takes some time. You can't go from just a regular diet to this diet.
So,
And then,
yes, so from your evidence also, just sticking to that, so you have also seen the evidence, doctor, that bringing down the complex carbs and shifting to millets has benefited your patients, right?
I mean, even millets are complex carbs. I mean, let's put it this way. Grains are complex carbs, but they also have protein and other things as well, So, yeah. But yes, we should shift closer to what foods God designed for us. And those are actually the foods that we don't need to cook.
Right. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Pramod, I would like to ask you, because I was attending one of your, sessions that you did in Goa, and I clearly remember where you were saying that nowadays the new protocol is, instead of measuring glucose levels, you have to measure insulin levels, right? And this is the same comment that I made, that our insulin levels are, really going high, and that is the real marker. So would you comment on this aspect of complex carbs?
Yeah, to know insulin resistance, the fasting insulin marker is pretty good. It should ideally be between 2.6 to 4, going up to 6 max. And after a meal, ideally to be able to handle the meal, the typical Indian meal, 4 or 5 times more insulin is needed by the body. Okay, that's the story of insulin broadly. Okay, now carbohydrates in the form of, let's say, which they come in the form of grains. Like grains contain maybe around 80% carbohydrates, dals contain around 60% carbohydrates, and they are going to remain. They are going to remain. We are not going to, I don't see at a social level, at a national level, at an international level, grains going out completely, which some, kind of systems do promote. So what is the way out? The way out is to ensure that the glycemic index, okay, and the glycemic load, both, means the speed with which the sugar rises, okay, and the overall sugar content that one is having in the particular meal should be manageable by the system, especially in the initial phases. Okay, so what we do, very simple, just as a tip for everybody, is whenever you're having, let's say, a lunch or a dinner, which is a major meal, if you're taking 1 fulka, which is around 30 grams wheat, preferably the kapli, Indian, emmer wheat or whatever, you should take a katori of dal, a katori of sabzi, a katori of salad. Okay, and if you want to take the second whatever fulka again, then before that, second katori dal, sabzi, salad should go in. So it ensures that the spike is not very, very high. Number one. If you're able to take care of the spikes in the initial phases, while you're still so-called reversing, and I feel reversing is not a one-time event. It's not that the medicine stopped, so he reversed. It doesn't work that way. It's stopping medicine is just a platform in reversal. You need to manage the sugars better in the initial phase. Later on, you should be able to handle 15 teaspoons of sugar. You should attempt the GTT. which is again not the end of reversal. It's again an advanced stage in reversal. So spikes will happen with every meal. The body is designed to handle the spike. In the initial phases of reversal, you're not so good at it because you're already in a diseased state. You give some rest to the body, give repair to it so that it's able to progress to a level whereby it can handle that 15 teaspoons of sugar later. So that's how we need to approach it, very scientifically, very logically, very unemotionally, very practically, in a very systematic manner.
Thank you, doctor. I would like to give Dr. Rupa Shah a chance to just come in. I think her husband is there, Dr. Shah. He wants to say hello to us. Hello, good evening, Dr. Shah.
Good evening. Hi.
Any few words of advice for us? How's it going so far? Have you been listening to us?
No, he didn't.
No, I just came. So.
Okay, maybe a magic mantra, one-line mantra for diabetes.
Lots. I don't think it can be in one line. Okay.
Okay.
And lots of things are required. And so,
Dr. Alok.
Dr. Alok.
Yes, sir. Nice to see you.
Hi. Hi.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Rupa Shah. Would you like to comment on this about?
Yeah.
One thing I liked it, the last speaker who spoke,
Pramod.
Pramod, very good. What he said about the sugar part of it, it's not just stopping or reducing the medicine, but many other things are there which we need to address. This is something really I liked it, Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Any other panelists would like to comment on that, or is everything been said on that aspect? Or yes, Dr. Paawan, you want to say something about complex carbs and?
Yeah, about carbs. I follow Dr. John McDougall on this starch-based diet because what I learned is that people love wheat and rice. And I don't stop them from taking wheat or rice, except in few cases of celiac disease or non-celiac gluten intolerance, where they develop a lot of gas taking the wheat. Only thing is I divide it into 2 plates. Let them take their first plate of salad heavily, and let them eat chapati and rice. I have no issue until unless any oil is added. There is no issue. I have no problems. Eat whatever you want. We want 4 chapati, you want 1 plate rice, you want white rice, you want brown rice. I have no issues because I am seeing in type 2 diabetes and MODI and LADA, there is no problem. In type 1 diabetes, yes, with white rice, spike is coming. But after taking salad, no big deal. So, मतलब कि हम बने ही रोटी चावल खाने के लिए हैं. मतलब रोटी चावल नहीं खाई तो जिंदगी is not. But I have gone through all the international medical journals. When I was looking at those journals on the whole food plant-based diet, how it is reversing, how high fiber is causing a reversal in diabetes, all the research is on millets. All the research papers, I have gone through 58 research papers. In all those research papers, when you read thoroughly, they gave millets to their patients, and which means millets is something which is helping. So what I recommend to them is you can make it whole, means like mixed grains, like you can, there are 7 anaj hain, gehu, jowar, bajra, makki, chana, jo, or soya, 7. So mix them well and eat. Brown rice is better. If you don't like brown rice, it's okay. White rice, I have no issue. And in my practice, I am not having any issue with the starch. They love starch in Haryana, and I recommend them eat, but no fat, no oil. I give them recipes. You develop rice, you make vegetables, dals, but eat, because if you see on my YouTube channel, I have more than 500 to 1,000 people who are giving their interviews on how they reverse their diabetes. And most frequently, they will tell you one line, that I was eating 16 chapatis in one day. 4 morning, for like 12, 16 chapatis, lot of rice they are eating. Even then, sugars are coming down. So for starch solution of Dr. John McDougall is working well. Only thing is you have to skip fats. Fats should be 0. Thank you.
Okay. I have a question from Mr. S.K. Suri. So his question is, with the sugar levels under control, can an ex-diabetic have sweets in moderation once in a while, say once a week? Any panelist who would like
I
to
can
take?
answer that question. Can I answer that question?
Yes, please.
You see, first and foremost, we are not treating the sugar. Let's get that out of the way. We are treating the metabolic defect. Treating the sugar is like painting a leaky wall. That's what insulin does. That's what most of the medicines do. Insulin, in my view, is poison, and the quicker we get rid of it from Earth, better. I tell my patients that the day they start insulin, they've written their death sentence on a white paper. Now, the answer to this question is that at an average, like Dr. Pramod said, it's a lifelong game. We must look at it as a lifelong game. We mustn't hanker that when will I eat this or when will I eat that. By the time you do the program effectively from your mind with good looking food, good tasting food, it will take an average of about, in my experience, about 3 to 4 months to reverse the metabolic defect, which means literally we open their head, take out a SIM card and put a new one. And then in the next 6 to 9 months, they have to gradually transition to a point where the metabolic defect is reversed. Now, like Dr. Pramod said, that we give people the GTT test. So I do something more than that. I'm trying to make a very interesting thing that no longer am I following the glycemic load or glycemic index. I'm following the insulin index, which means which foods raises how much of insulin, and this is much different from the glycemic load. I've also made a very interesting thing that which is suit the person's palate. How many teaspoons of sugar in a portion of food? See, so 1 teaspoon of sugar is 5 grams of carbs. So one bowl of rice is 11.5 teaspoons. One banana is 7 teaspoons. One red apple is 8 teaspoons. A potato is 9 teaspoons. So when you understand, one whole brown whole grain bread has more sugar than a teaspoon of sugar. So I want to give my patients this thing because it's very quick. Who wants to know what is glycemic index, glycemic load? Nobody understands it. Nobody, doctors also don't understand. So this is the thing. Yes, it is fully reversible, the metabolic defect, but if you again behave like a donkey, then it's going to come back again.
Okay, thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. I would like to ask the second question. Any other panelists would want to have an opinion on this? Okay.
Excuse me, Daryl, I've got to leave. And so I just want to thank you all and also all the esteemed panelists for everything that they said. And wish you all and all the people attending all the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Nandita Shah, for your presence and for your wisdom and advice, and also sharing your experience and your movement with all of the panelists and with our audiences too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Nandita. Bye.
So I would want to ask a question that seems to be in the trend with the current phase that we're going through, and maybe a short answer. I don't know now. Maybe a short or long answer. Question is, we have been hearing that diabetics are more vulnerable to COVID. Can any panelist please provide some understanding why that is so? Why are people saying that?
So let me answer that one. So metabolic syndrome X is that means diabetes, type 2, bad lipid profile, also obesity and thyroid, all of these are included. Now it has been observed that ACE2 receptors are more in these patients, and the COVID-19, the entry point is those ACE2 receptors which are larger in number, and this allows the entry. So I have a very simple concept of explaining a disease, which is called as seed and soil. So if you have seeds available to you, if you put it on the cement ground, it may not grow. But if you put it in infertile ground, it will not grow. But if you put it on the fertile ground, it will quickly grow. So it is the ground that is important, not the seeds alone. So when the diabetes patients are like that soil, it is very suitable for the COVID-19 patients. So they are very vulnerable. So the way to health is not necessarily washing your hands, wearing a mask, and trying to live in an isolated environment, but to become a different soil, a healthy soil, a not suitable soil for the COVID-19. This is how I explain. So in fact, this is now the time, a wake-up call for all those who are suffering from type 2 diabetes. Please wake up. The patients who have died of COVID-19 is not necessarily died directly out of COVID-19, but because of the comorbidities. In the comorbidity list, the type 2 diabetes is very ahead of the list. So if you have that, then you are vulnerable to get COVID-19, and now you're going to probably, go worse as well. So the answer is to pay attention, that you can reverse and, become very healthy, not become that soil. And then you can, roam around very confidently, that even if you get one, it will be a very mild, it will go away by itself. Even for vaccination to work, we need a healthy immune system. If you don't have a healthy immune system, even vaccinations cannot work on you. See, ultimately, it all amounts to having a disease-free body, and no diseases will thrive in a healthy body. That is the short answer that I want to give. Yes, be careful. It's not just the type 2, also all the autoimmune disorders, all of them are vulnerable to get COVID infection, and its mortality rate is very high in them.
Yes, thank you, doctor. Yes, Dr.
Just a
Paawan.
few words. Shall I just share a little bit over here?
Yes, please.
So hundreds of FFDNs have also got COVID during this last 6 months, and they've been in touch with us. As I see them, as I see in general the research coming out, and also data, I find that people who have exercised less, okay, who have exercised less, who are maybe on the higher weight category, okay, higher weight category, I'm finding very clear greater mortality in them. I mean, we might have to wait for some more time to see numbers actually trickling in with differentiation of the mortality kind of categories across different BMI and all that. If somebody's going to present, that would be wonderful, and whether they were exercising or not. So of course, we've all been seeing that diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, a lot more people are getting it. Many are coming out also, and the journey of coming out, mortality is one part, but even the pain with which they are coming out, okay, is directly proportional to the fitness level, again connected to the exercise quotient. So I think it's been amazing, this whole pandemic, in terms of waking up the entire world, and a lot more online classes are happening on yoga and Zumba and exercising, and it's really amazing. In fact, I also got to experience a lot more of online classes. So please explore. There are amazing teachers out there, and try and do 108 Surya Namaskaras, try and do 108 yogic push-ups. This is the time to really make yourself fit. Okay.
Thank you, doctor. Now go on to the next question from Nalini. Does corn silk decoction help with diabetics, and how? I have seen talks about it being very effective. Any panelist wants to comment on that? About corn silk?
Anecdotal. Corn itself is a very high glycemic item. I'm not talking about the silk. To be honest, we don't know the perfect answer. So I wouldn't mention that. But one thing I can tell you about corn, that corn is not a great item. The reason why Americans are all diabetic is because of corn. And
yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, so it was about corn silk. So yeah, I have used corn silk also in some natural detoxes, that is to cleanse the kidneys, and it has been effective. Anyway, so we go to the next question, short one from Preeti. Soya is diabetogenic. So can we have soya, as Dr. Paawan said? Dr. Paawan?
Soya is a good alternative to milk. Soya is good in protein. Glycemic index is not much high, and it is a good substitute for taking, if you are fond of drinking milk. We have seen in our patients, in our studies, that if you are the people who are taking soy milk and soy products which are not much refined, like I recommend taking soya dal or soya bean badiya and soya milk. and not means very high, into a limited extent, like routine, like 1 glass of soya milk, and some days tofu, some days soybean badiya, and some days some soybean dal, 1 katori. So that is a good substitute, and is not causing a problem to any diabetic patients. Sugars are means well controlled.
Thank you,
And
doctor.
one second, sir. Just one answer for everybody for COVID. One line, just one line. I have done my research. 2003 SARS came. Diabetics were not much prone to SARS. 2009 onwards, swine flu is coming. 2020, COVID is coming. Diabetics are more prone to COVID and H5N1 in swine flu. First reason is people who are taking the drugs called as gliptins. Gliptins means these days modern drugs are there: sitagliptin, linagliptin, vildagliptin, teneligliptin. And if you look at the side effects of these drugs, the first side effect of these drugs is they make you prone to upper respiratory tract infection, URTI. It is written. आप जब भी ये दवाई, इनमें से कोई बंदा जालरा ले रहा है, कोई बंदा जेनुमेट ले रहा है, कोई बंदा ट्रेजेंटा ले रहा है, कोई ऑन्डेरो ले रहा है, anybody who is taking gliptins, please avoid gliptins in the COVID pandemic, because the number one side effects of all the gliptins is URTI. So before the 2000, diabetics were not that much prone to influenza, but after 2010, the research says diabetics are very much prone. And I have seen in my patients, the people who are taking gliptins, mortality rate, morbidity rate of COVID is much higher in them compared to those people who are on the standard sulfonylureas, metformin, or insulins. In them, COVID is not causing that much of damage. So, which means in my research, gliptins are lethal.
Also, the ACE2 receptors are given for blood pressure, lowering.
Yes, ACE2 receptors are a disaster. Anybody who is on telmisartan, olmesartan,
losartan,
valsartan, ramipril, you should immediately stop. You can contact me. We will shift you to on some other drug, but stop ACE inhibitors. They are lethal.
Thank you for that very important insight, Dr. Paawan, from your experience. I would go on to the next question, and we have just 5 minutes left, so maybe we just take 2 questions. This question is from Vivek Anand. Do we have cases where ECTO, ECTO in caps, body types being able to reverse diabetes?
Yes, every possible form is reversible with the right effort and the right intensity and inclination. It doesn't matter what form you look like, apple, pear, or whatever. No, honestly, I mean, it's a question of time, maybe a little bit here and a little bit there, little bit of tweaking of what to eat and when to eat, because we may give people, after 1 week, we put them on water fasts also. Like I do 1 day intermittent fast, 1 day feasting, 1 day water fast, and we keep shifting it even with the times of the year. In the summer, it's different, in the winter, it's different. And I think it's just simply the moment you get the hang of it and moment you make friends, or moment to take ownership that I'm going to reverse my diabetes. Sometimes I'm surprised at people who are insulin. They'll say, but doc, my sugar is okay. I said, your sugar is okay, but you're painting that leaky wall. So once you make friends with the new program, it's done. You're free of some, you will never get heart disease, kidney disease, eye disease, gangrene, ever. So I want to instill this in people's mind that give yourself those 3 months, those 4 months of proper commitment, and you're going to get rid of a disease which is diabetes, which is nutritional in origin. Of course, the mind and everything is critically important, but the driving factor is bad nutrition. So if all you have to do is change it for 3 little months, and once you get the hang of it, you're good forever. So please, never hold back. Don't ask questions when I will do this or when I will not do this. Make friends with your new diet.
Thank you, doctor. Any other of our panelists wants to comment on ECTO, body type, and its capacity of reversing diabetes or not?
So I think,
yes.
Yeah. Very quick thing. ECTOs, there are enough number of ECTOs with freedom from diabetes who have reversed, and they are free of medications, free of insulin and all that. Number is quite big. Maybe what we need to focus on is the type of diabetes, not just the body type, okay? Because some of the ectos might be a modi, okay, or lada, okay, they are on the thinner side, and that could pose a little greater challenge in reversal than typical type 2s. So in case if the insulin production, okay, is not that great, or if it's been a very long standing diabetes, 20, 25, 30 years of diabetes, and insulin production is not happening that great because of long standing diabetes or because of a particular 1.5 category of diabetes, and the challenges might be higher. But that just don't go on the outer appearance of ectos. There are enough number in hundreds who have become free.
Thank you for that. Hope for this person who has asked the question. And I think I'm getting into the last question from Moses. He says, my gallbladder was removed over 10 years ago. Is there any connection between that and me having diabetes? Now I am 50 years and 87 kgs and my height is 5.2.
Well, I can answer that question. This is the approach to people who have, there are three different approaches to people who have kidney disease or who have gallbladder removed. See, the function of the gallbladder is not just a reservoir of bile, it concentrates it and changes its chemical composition. And most importantly, bile is released at the right time. So the people are not becoming diabetics because of that. All we need to do is that I have a lot of patients, Lord, who have no gallbladders, but we have to approach the diet in a different way. See, certain fats, unfortunately, certain fats like olive oil, which are good for health, the macadamia oils, the avocado oils, they cannot be helpful to that. Coconut oil is the big winner that time because coconut oil diffuses into the intestine, bypasses the metabolism and enters the liver and makes the right thing. So it's not a limitation. It's only a limitation in the beginning, but once you get the hang of it, we can perfectly reverse the diabetes, and it's not the cause of diabetes. It will make it more prone to, but it's not the cause.
Thank you, Dr. Alok. Any other of our panelists who would like to comment on this? Person who doesn't have a gallbladder, are they prone to diabetes or there is no such strong connection?
First of all, I don't like gallbladders being removed at all. I try my best to save them.